Hey guys, morning. Let's talk about Apple and how much they're selling or how much they've been selling for the past few years. Okay. Right. And how we are all addicted to our phones, right? Or why? Whose fault is it? Right? And guys, you might remember that movie, I think it was called, was it Get Out? Or Get In? Or I forgot, no, Inside Out? Can't remember. Where this lady was staring a cup of tea like that, right? And while staring it, then every time she did that, what's his name? That black actor, I forgot. You guys, please remind me, I'm getting too old. But that black actor used to get entranced, and more into like this kind of, yeah, basically entranced. How is that different from what we do today with phones? But it is a very bad habit. You should always take your teaspoon out, out of the cup before you drink. But guys, I want to talk about this. Okay, let's talk about phone consumption. Okay, because we all know we're addicted to our phones. Everyone says that. Okay, we're trying. Yeah, we're trying as much as possible. So who am I? I'm the CEO of Orukka. Orukka is a smart payment ring. Okay, so you can tap to pay with your ring. So we've already made a statement here, right? So if in case you can't tell, we don't want to try and reduce some phone consumptions as much as possible. We want to make sure that if you have your phone, you only use it for what it's needed for, which is maybe to send a message to your loved ones or to I don't agree to go on social media, but not for payments, not for health and fitness, Already you see Whoop Aura, all these guys are actually doing a good job, they're doing a good job in terms of just getting people away from their screens and watching out for their health. So you have a wearable that focuses on health, which is very good. So now you have that, and then people now focus on that. At nighttime, you can check your health or vital statistics. Over the course of the day, you have your device on. The same thing as well with our payments. So our payments, again, these are beautiful, beautiful designs, right? They're very beautiful. But what happens as well is that if you want to make a payment, you don't have to bring out your phone or reach out for your phone or wallet anymore. You can tap to pay. This doesn't have battery as well. So you can just start to pay without a battery. So again, we're doing well. We've got about 35 countries in terms of distribution so far. We've only launched about end of last year, so we're doing very well there, and I'm not complaining. Okay, we're small, but we're doing very well. But the point I'm trying to make there is the fact that people are starting to see the importance of phone consumption. Okay, it's going down, right? And that's very good. Okay, and it's subconscious, right? Because we all addicted to it, but we know that it's a problem, but we don't realize why. That's the point I was talking about. This is, remember that movie, right? That people get entranced. You're entranced, but you know you're entranced, but you can't stop yourself from being entranced. Talk about Apple, right? Apple especially. So Apple in the top two. So we have Apple on top, then we have Samsung at the next, and then the others are all like Android. So basically, you have Apple competing with the entire Android ecosystem. And then you have to look at it and say, hey, what's the real cost of this? I can tell you, Apple, in terms of their cost, is less than $100 because they have distribution, a lot of distribution. If Apple comes to your store and says, goes to you in China or Vietnam and says, hey, you're going to produce screens for us, they're going with a price and it's next to nothing, okay? Because they've got distribution. Now, you can either say yes or no, and they go to your competitors. So my point is that it costs next to nothing for Apple to make these things, but they sell it for like good God knows 1,000, and I don't ask for this. So whose fault is it? I'm gonna blame us. Why? Because I know BlackBerry came out. I think we had like a Razor, we have Nokia, all these guys. The phone reviewers used to be so critical. Okay, they used to be exactly, they'll pick up a phone and criticize it until even the manufacturers turn around and say, okay, take it easy on us, right? That's what used to happen with the phone reviewers. But I was listening to Marcus, MQHB, I think that's his name. Also, Mr. Who's the Boss. All these guys, if you watch their reviews these days, they're almost polite to the phone companies. They're almost like, look, it's like having a child and you're looking for what's positive in the child. So they actually sit there and look for what's positive on the phone. And it's very simple things like, the camera is better this year, but thankfully, it looks crisper, it looks, the zoom is better, things like that. And you're like, is that what you need a phone for? Well, let's talk about the designs. The other day specifically, they said that, and I look at the last review as well. I watched this closely, right? They turned around and they were talking about how good phones are these days, that we've reached the end. Who says that? Who decides we've reached the end, right? Because right now all we have is this, the black box. If I put this phone here and I don't tell you what manufacturer this is, you wouldn't know. The only way you're gonna know is you start looking for that tiny box here to see if it's, or does it have a loop? If so, then it's an iPhone. If not, then it's an Android. But wait, even within the iPhones, you have to then start looking at the number of pictures it has. That's innovation these days. So people are just giving up on innovation, right? And I'm going to ask again, whose fault is that? Is it me, you, or the reviewers? I'll say all three. I'm going to blame everybody here, right? Everyone's getting the blame here. So it's me, you, because we keep upgrading our phones every year, right? I've got my laptop. My laptop, I've been using it for 4 years. I don't remember when last I changed my laptop, right? And the only reason I'll change is because it's dead, broken, the battery life is almost gone, and then I change it. But the phone, every year, every other year, we're all changing our phones these days. Actually, almost natural to want to change your phone, which I think is one of the most silly things possible. But guess what? We are encouraging that. We're encouraging that. Again, I talked about our range. So, we're a fintech app, right? And it's easy to think, oh, hey, you know, we're competing against each other. Did I see the other day someone sent me a payment ring and went, hey, there's a payment ring now from China for $5. I'm like, that's good. Right? I don't like literally. So our rings are expensive because we're making it here. We're going to these are MasterCard rings. So MasterCard charges also, and then there's also the connection to the banks. The banks charge us. So we don't make a lot of money. But just the passion is to make sure that we make something good that our customers don't rely on their phones. Phones are my competitors. People argue about they think it's other wearables. No, I don't mind Aura. Aura, Whoop, all those guys are doing good because, as far as I'm concerned, they're taking us away from phones. Phones are my competition. Phones, as I see it, are one, a waste of time. If you look at how many hours a day you spend on your phone, you would realize what we're talking about. So going through numbers the other day in terms of how many people and how much hours they spend, like just going off your phone or spending more time with wearables, with rings, with payment rings, with fitness rings. Actually, we have payments and fitness together on a ring. So people that do that, right? The question is, they save on average 2 to 3 hours per day. Usually be spent on social media on phones. I call them phones. Black boxes at this stage. They're all black boxes, right? The point I'm trying to make is, listen, it's a problem. It's a pandemic, and we all need to do better to resolve it, right? Everybody. By everybody, I mean me, you, taking down the phones, the phone reviewers, just being honest to say, hey, this is the same box as last year. We didn't ask for a better camera. We didn't ask for better megapixels. So take this away. Don't review the phone. Don't buy them and review them. Don't try and be the first to review them because you get views. Let's be honest and go, this is a black box. Get out of here. This is a black box. Throw it away like basketball. Next, bring up something better. You know how long we've been begging? I think Apple has been one of the first. And I remember because I used to be one of the first to complain about this as well. We've been begging for a flip iPhone. That didn't happen. We begged for a open, a foldable iPhone. Didn't happen. And mind you, this has been going on for a while, right? Samsung were able to come up with that. In fact, Samsung came up with a trifold iPhone that sold out. A trifold Android phone, right? That sold out. Yeah, and those I think they were trading for 2,000. That's how crazy it was because the evolution is not there on phones anymore, and we're happy to accept that. So it's a bit of a complaint on my side, right? But the question is, whose fault is it? I say it's everybody. Collectively, we all need to do better. We need to ask more from phone providers. That's the problem we have now. The same thing as well, if we look at, the banks. So the other day, I kid you not, right? Obviously, I still work in the banking circles, right? And I play around with these guys a lot. The other day, the three banks in the EU, I'm not going to mention their names because it could be my clients. The three banks in the EU went to complain that the banks or the Apple devices are being unfairly competitive, that they're blocking them out of customers. I'm going to repeat that again. So banks are complaining that Android and iPhones are blocking them out of customers. You can have a payment here. You don't have to use the phones. Yeah? That's the problem we have. The same thing as well, I remember talking to a few governments. I'm not going to mention them, right? I was talking to a few governments, and the first thing they said to me was, hey, we've got digital IDs. I'm like, do you? They say, yeah. So where are they? They're on the phones. I'm like, then you don't. Apple has them. You stood like, so people are concerned about the government. The governments are complained are concerned about the Apple devices, but you've put everything on Apple. So if you have an idea right now, everything goes on Apple. If you have a digital ID that we're trying to put together, everyone's concerned about the digital ID when you should be concerned about the digital ID on your phone because now Apple has every possible information about you and you're concerned about how they're making so much money, right? So effectively, it's not just you, it's actually the government as well and the banks. The banks, the government, everyone just wants to get on the phone. Yeah, and I remember, I keep saying this every time. I thought I was talking until me trying to go into history here, but that's one of the reasons why I started my own payment ring because I said I don't want to rely on an app. Again, we have an app where you can activate your ring. We have the app where you can top up your ring. You can connect your ring to Android to Android. We have an Android iOS device, and you can compare. You can top it up with crypto. You can top it up with fiat. You can top it up with cards. You can top it up with Apple Pay, Google Pay. My point is that's where it stops. In fact, we're trying to work with other providers so we don't have to connect to Apple and Android. That's what we should all do, right? Stop relying on iPhones and Androids, and then you'll do better. And then you don't have to complain that they're being unfairly competitive. They're competitive because we're all running to them. Again, look at your government. Your government, the first thing they do is go to get an app, the IE. The first thing, gov.ie, gov.uk, gov.us, all these guys, they're all on the Android device or iOS devices. All of them. In fact, sometimes the iOS devices work better than the Android devices. They aim towards that. So, this is the first of many videos where I'm always going to complain and complain and complain that number one, we're giving the phone companies too much power. Okay, our complaint about addiction. Like giving it's like giving a what do you call it? It's like going in and buying smokes and yeah, buying cigarettes every day, and then you complain that the cigarette manufacturers are taking advantage of you. It's because you're buying the cigarettes. That's the same thing as here now, right? You're buying the Apple devices. You're making sure that everything is on your phone. If everything is on your phone, payments are on your phone, your government ID is on your phone, your social media, okay, that's fine. You need to consume it because you're enjoying that. But some things you don't need it on your phone. People rush to it. In fact, I remember one customer specifically, now my customer, so that's good. But before the person became my customer, the first thing they were arguing with me was that I could just pay with my phone. I said, okay, that call was at 9, right? They messaged me at 9. I said, if you come back here, yeah, if you come back here at 9 p.m. without charging your phone, I'm putting a comment here, right? I'll send you a free ring. The next day they ordered the ring. I'll tell you why. Because by 9 o'clock, by 9 p.m. the battery was dead. So they couldn't even message. They couldn't go on social media, not to talk of making a payment. So the person messaged me and said, I just bought a ring because my battery died. And I couldn't even make payment. I couldn't go back home without battery. So there you go. And yet you're relying on that device. I'm going to stop there for now because it'll get me angry. But I'm going to talk about this a lot, okay? If you don't hear about me whining and complaining about phones, okay, then that's fine. I'll change to other topics. But know that this is my passion, okay? I want to make sure that people get off phones. This is the one time I agree with Elon Musk. Elon Musk said it specifically that in 5 years, phones are going to be extinct, and we're going to make that happen. All the best, and talk to you later.